Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hindustan Times. And we've got a very special guest today with us, Mr. Rohan Gavaskar. Hello, Rohan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, Rohan, we just gearing up for the ODI series between England and Australia. We've already know the results of the T20 series. England came out on top. Australia did manage to put up fight, but they lacked on a few departments. So, going into the ODI series, what are your thoughts? How do you see these two sides prepping up against each other?
So I think it's going to be a really exciting series, a cracker of a series. If you have a look at what happened and what transpired in the T20s, 2-1 in England's favor, but it could have easily been 2-1 in Australia's favor. I think in that first T20 that was played, out of the 40 overs that were played, I think Australia were on top for about 35 overs. It's only in the last 5 overs that Australia sort of fell apart and England sort of took control of the game and ended up winning the game. So look, closely fought contest at T20, and I expect more of the same in the ODIs.
Right. Coming to the ODIs, Rowan, Morgan, England's captain, has just mentioned in the pre-match presser that he would want England to actually change their dynamic approach, keeping the 2023 World Cup in mind in India, because Morgan is saying that knowing England's style of batting, they like to go all out irrespective of the situation and pitches. But in India, they might encounter a bit of slowness, a bit of turn, which might test their batsmen, and he's saying this is actually their weaker side. So, what is your take on that? We still got 3 years to go for the ODI World Cup, and Morgan has already started to prepare for that. What is your take on this?
I think it's fantastic. I think that's how it should be. Preparation, for what you want to do, know what your targets are. Look, in terms of an all-out approach, again, I'm going to go back to that first T20 between England and Australia. Australia's approach in that was also an all-out, and it cost them. They didn't need to go all out when they were chasing that total. At one stage, they were in such a commanding position, such a comfortable position that they could have tempered their approach, nudged the ball around for ones and twos, and they could have easily won the game. So look, it's a very pragmatic approach from Eoin Morgan. Again, someone who has plenty of experience in India, so he knows what he's talking about. Uh, and keeping that World Cup in mind, and as captain of the England team, he knows exactly how he wants his team to play, what sort of players he has. I'm pretty sure he's not going to tell someone like Josh Butler to sort of temper his approach, because there are certain players, Josh Butler, Ben Stokes, the X Factor players, who you say, okay, listen, you've got the leeway to go and do what you want, go ahead, play your game. But there'll be people around them, players around them, which might have to sort of adjust the game a little bit for the betterment of the team.
Right. Ron, you mentioned about Joss Butler. He's actually been a revelation at the top of the order. So, he Rajasthan Royals first tried him at the top. He was a success in the IPL. Then England tried him in the recent T20 series, and he actually blasted them in the power play and then carried through. So, we already know that England have a very settled opening lineup when it comes to ODI cricket. They have Jason Roy and Jonny Bairstow. But do you think there's a scope and England might experiment with Joss Butler even in the ODIs too to make the maximum use of him?
Well, I don't think it's a question of experimenting now. I think it's a question of a horses for courses policy. We've seen Jonny Bairstow hasn't been in good form in the T20. So you think, okay, listen, if he hasn't been in good form, Jason Roy's been injured. I think he might be fit for the ODIs, but I'm not sure if he'll play or not. But if it's always good to have options. And now what England do have uh, three very, very good options in terms of opening the innings for them in white ball cricket. Joss Butler, Jason Roy, and Jonny Bairstow. So if one of them's out of form, the other slots in and takes the place. So look, um, it's a healthy headache. It's a good headache that England have at the moment.
Right. And Rohan, speaking a bit more on Joss, what do you think actually works for him? Because he emerged as a cricketer who liked to finish matches more. He started in at number 6 and 7, played those ramp shots, reverse sweeps, brought in a lot of innovation to the England lineup, and then suddenly you see him opening. He actually watches the ball and then also goes for his shots. So he has both the games. So what is actually working for Joss Butler in limited overs cricket?
Well, I think clarity of thought. I think he's got a very clear game plan in his head. He knows how he's going to approach his innings, what he's going to do, whether he needs to sort of build an innings on a certain pitch, or if he feels he's got the confidence in the pitch and in himself, of course, to go hell for leather from ball one. So I think clarity of thought is important. obviously also he's got the skill set. I mean, you can have as clear a head and a clear game plan in your mind, but if you don't have the skill set to back it up, it's of no use. What's working for Joss is the fact that he's got enormous skills in white ball cricket. He's such a clean striker of the ball, innovative, and and like I said, clarity of game plan.
Right. After the second T20I, England's Stuart Broad actually lamented Joss as their best white ball cricketer, particularly after seeing him open the batting right now. And in the commentary too, Shane Warne, Michael Holding, they were discussing that Joss Buttler probably actually ranks among the best white ball openers right now when you consider Rohit, Shikhar, even Bairstow, David Warner, Aaron Finch. So where do you think that if we keep only T20 cricket in mind, where do you think Joss actually ranks among Rohits, the Warners, the Finch?
Uh, I think he should be up there. But if you look at uh, you look at someone like Rohit, or you look at someone like David Warner, or even Finch, KL Rahul. I think KL Rahul's got unbelievable numbers in T20 cricket. Uh, as does Rohit, as does Warner, as does Finch, and Joss Butler will be up there. But these guys have been doing it for a lot longer at the top of the order. Joss Butler as an opener has just started to open. This is not to take anything away from Joss because I think he's a fantastic player. But I think we tend to sort of give these sort of greatest of all time. He's the goat. Messi's the goat. Ronaldo's the goat. Pele is the goat. Maradona's the goat. Everyone's the goat. Uh, I think it's wrong to sort of put someone and say he's the best white ball cricketer they've had. Uh, there've been some fantastic cricketers that England have produced in the 70s and 80s who played one day cricket. So look, I think he's a quality player. There's no doubt about that. But to sort of rank him, I don't like doing that. I just think you should just sit back and enjoy his skill set, enjoy his ability to strike a ball, and enjoy the entertainment that he gives us.
Right. Now, Ron, coming back to a bit of Australia now. We saw in the first match the Australians probably choked a little bit, if I am allowed to say that, with the kind of Marcus Stoinis, Alex Carey, and Maxwell in their lineup. And actually, they have been, trying and struggling and juggling with these players for the last couple of years. The same middle order: Mitch Marsh, Marcus Stoinis, Alex Carey, and sometimes even a Maxwell, but they are probably not getting the results as they would like to. Especially if we take into consideration there are three World Cups lined up in the next 3 years. So, do you think Australia actually needs to try something new when the time is there, or they should actually stick to their age-old formula of being the tried and tested and backing their own players?
Well, also, I think in that first T20, I think you mentioned a few names, but I think the ones who were the real culprits in a sense were Steve Smith, David Warner, because they were set and
Right,
they should have taken the team through. And the shots that they played were the shots that they look back on with regret. I mean, they'll be the first to put their hand up and say, listen, uh, we should have been more accountable. We should have played with a bit more responsibility. Glenn Maxwell also came in, played an expansive shot early on, so he'll be disappointed with that shot. Mitch Marsh wasn't in in that game at
right,
all. So look,
right,
I think Australia will have an idea in mind. They'll have uh, a sort of strategy in mind going into the World Cups that are coming up. They will know what they want to do, the kind of personnel they want to have in their squad. Look, at the moment, Australia, for having said everything, are still the number one T20 team in the
right,
world. So they're obviously doing something right over there. If you're the number one T20 team in the world, they're obviously doing something right. So I'm sure they have a clear game plan and they'll stick to it.
right.